Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're taking a high-energy, mind-bending look at history that is going to completely strip away centuries of myth to reveal a reality that's honestly even stranger. We are diving into actual, hard archaeological evidence, ancient administrative diaries, and raw data that totally rewrites the story of the Great Pyramid of Giza. So forget the Hollywood movies, because the truth we're about to uncover is just infinitely more fascinating.
So what if I told you the Great Pyramid's biggest secret wasn't some mystical glowing artifact, but just, well, paperwork? Seriously. Back in the autumn of 2013, French archaeologist Pierre Tallet was excavating out along a really remote stretch of the Red Sea coast, far away from any tourist hotspots. Picture an ancient rock gallery finally being unsealed. What he found inside wasn't treasure, but just fragments of papyrus scattered on the floor. But this wasn't some scrap of ancient trash. It was the absolute oldest inscribed papyrus ever found anywhere on Earth. And this ancient scrap of paper, it was our first major revelation. See, this papyrus wasn't a prayer to the gods or some grand royal decree. It was just a work diary. It belonged to a man named Mir, who was, essentially, a middle manager in the ancient world. He commanded a crew of about 200 men and meticulously recorded his daily logistics on what we would basically call spreadsheets today. He kept his crew on schedule, logging deliveries, and tracking days worked. This totally ordinary guy, just doing his daily grind, completely shatters that otherworldly mystique of the pyramids with this incredibly mundane, real-world administrative paperwork.
Okay, let's dive into this, because we really need to clear away about 2,000 years of spectacular nonsense. That whole Hollywood myth? It actually started with the Greek historian Herodotus around 450 BC, giving us these dramatic images of whips, chains, and enslaved laborers suffering on a massive industrial scale. But look at the actual archaeological reality. In 1990, a tourist's horse accidentally tripped over a low mud brick wall, and that wall led to the discovery of an entire cemetery for the pyramid workers, resting right in the shadow of the monument itself. These people were given honorable burials, complete with bread and beer for the afterlife, which, by the way, is a privilege never ever granted to enslaved labor. These were well-paid, respected workers.
And the physical skeletons? They tell an even wilder story. These workers actually received what we might jokingly call union-level medical care. Skeletons recovered from the site show healed fractures that were carefully set and mended by incredibly skilled hands. We're talking evidence of bound and splinted limbs, and even crazy cases where workers survived complex surgery, fully healed up, and successfully went right back to hauling stone. You just don't spend time carefully mending the broken bones of an expendable workforce. The state absolutely valued these people as highly skilled assets.
Now get ready for a truly staggering number: 2 tons. Back in 1988, the American archaeologist Mark Leonard uncovered a sprawling lost city just south of the Sphinx. We're talking 17 acres packed with barracks, bakeries, and storehouses that housed and supported up to 20,000 workers at its peak. And to keep that massive, hungry workforce moving, the Egyptian state slaughtered roughly 2 tons of meat every single day, for years on end. Let's look at exactly what was on the menu. This was actually decoded by archaeozoologist Richard Redding from over 150,000 bone fragments found in the ancient city's rubbish heaps. There was a very clear hierarchy going on. The overseers got beef, which was the ultimate high-status meat in ancient Egypt. The regular laborers, meanwhile, ate mutton and goat, along with beans, lentils, and fish. And everybody got plenty of coarse bread and thick beer. To actually maintain this 2-ton-a-day diet, Redding estimates the state had to manage a staggering standing herd of 72,000 animals spread across the Nile Delta. I mean, this was intense national logistics, run entirely by the state, just to fill the stomachs of working men.
So how did this massive operation actually move? Well, Mir's diary maps out an exact 10-day supply loop. Step 1, they'd extract this fine white limestone over at the Tura quarries. Step 2, load up wooden boats with 70 to 80 tons of stone. To put that into perspective, that's literally the weight of a dozen elephants riding super low in the water. Step 3, sail down the state-managed canals for 2 or 3 days. And Step 4, unload everything at an incredibly busy, bustling Giza harbor known as Ro Sheikh Khufu. 10 days in, 10 days out. Without this relentless, totally unglamorous transport of heavy cargo, the pyramid simply does not get built. Which brings us to the second massive enduring myth, that the pyramid is simply too perfect, too mathematically precise to be built by human hands alone. Well, let's talk science. Material scientist Michel Barsoum at Drexel University has put forward this fascinating minority theory. He suggests that some of those incredibly hard-to-reach top blocks might not have been carved at all. Instead, they might have been poured into molds, kind of like an early form of concrete.
Now, it's definitely a heavily disputed theory, but just think about what that implies. We aren't talking about alien machinery here. We're talking about brilliant 4,500-year-old human chemistry that was just way ahead of its time.
And this brilliantly illustrates a reality we all need to accept. That whole idea that we simply have no idea how they did it is entirely false. Just look at this rapid era of discovery, all fueled by modern science. In 1988, the worker city is uncovered. 2013, Mutter's diary is found. 2017, Muon scans detect a massive empty space inside the pyramid. 2024, a lost river branch is mapped. And looking ahead to 2026, we have an integrated edge ramp proposal coming out. We actually know exactly who built them, when they built them, and how they were organized. The mysteries that do remain are really sharp, really specific, and they are actively being answered by modern tech. So let's dig into our first genuine, specific puzzle. Mystery number 1, the missing river. Think about the geography for a second. The builders transported these 80-ton granite beams from Aswan, which is 800 kilometers away, all the way to the Giza Plateau. But today, Giza is just this dry, sandy desert edge, and hauling 80-ton stones across open sand, literally impossible. So where was the water? Well, the answer finally arrived in 2024. A team led by geoscientist Iman Ghonaim used satellite radar imagery and deep earth cores to map what's called the Aharamat Branch. It was a 64-kilometer waterway of the Nile that ran directly past 31 pyramids. This ghost river allowed boats to deliver stone right up to the ceremonial causeways, which basically functioned as ancient harbors. But a severe drought 4,200 years ago caused the branch to silt up and completely vanish, hiding the geographic key to the pyramid's construction until we could finally spot it from space. Moving right along to mystery number 2, lifting to the sky. How on earth did they actually get those heavy stones 150 meters up into the air without building a mile-long external ramp? Because a ramp like that would require more building material than the Great Pyramid itself. We'll check out this cutting-edge proposal that's actually set to be published in March 2026 by an independent researcher and computer engineer named Dr. Vicente Russell Roy. He calls it the Integrated Edge Ramp. Instead of some gigantic external mound, Roy's computer simulations propose a gentle, spiraling path built directly into the 4 outer edges of the pyramid itself. The crews would just leave certain blocks out to form a ramp and then fill them in later as they finished up. It's a highly viable method that would allow workers to set a stone every few minutes, securely finishing the entire monument within that totally reasonable 20 to 27-year time frame. And that brings us to mystery number 3, the dark void. Even though it is literally the most relentlessly studied building on planet Earth, the Great Pyramid still holds huge secrets completely hidden from the human eye. And that's exactly why, in 2015, the Scan Pyramids project started using cosmic ray muons. These are tiny subatomic particles born up in the upper atmosphere that can pass straight through solid rock, acting almost like X-rays to detect empty spaces inside. And in 2017, they dropped a paper in the journal Nature, revealing a colossal 30-meter hidden void sitting directly above the Grand Gallery. We are talking about a space the size of a cathedral nave, totally unseen by human eyes for 4,500 years. Is it a hidden chamber? A weight-relieving gap? Maybe a sealed-up construction ramp? We honestly just don't know yet. So, the crucial point is, when we step back and take in all this real-life evidence, the detailed diaries, the sprawling lost city, the vast river logistics, we realize something really profound. The pyramid didn't just build a tomb, it literally built the Egyptian state. The sheer, overwhelming administrative weight required to feed, house, medically treat, and organize tens of thousands of workers, it essentially invented national bureaucracy out of thin air. To truly grasp the scale of this achievement, you have to look at the contrast before and after Khufu. Before he gave the order, there was no civil service. There was no vast national logistics network capable of moving mountains. But after Khufu, Egypt was this incredible, organized, literate, centralized state, forged completely through the act of statecraft. When our middle manager, Inspector Mayer, was meticulously logging his 10-day boat schedules, he had absolutely no idea he was building a civilization. To him, it was just the daily grind of spreadsheets and rations. But that methodical accounting, it organically created the enduring machinery of an entire government. But as we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with one final, lingering, and incredibly provocative mystery. Over 20 years, these workers cut, dressed, and fitted over 2 million blocks of stone, including some incredibly brutal hard granite. But they only had soft copper tools. That kind of industrial-scale cutting would demand hundreds of thousands of copper blades. And yet, across the entire Giza Plateau, only the barest handful of tools have ever been found. Did they recycle them? Were they carried off?
Or are they still buried out there somewhere in the sand, just waiting to rewrite history one more time? Keep questioning the myths and stay curious.